What's up, guys? Welcome back here to Mystical Entertainment headquarters. We're going to keep our wedding tip Wednesday going on. Once again, this is Mike Marquez, general manager, one of the lead MCs here. John Macaluso, owner of Mystical Entertainment Group, right down there.
What's going on, guys? How are you?
I want to introduce a special guest here today, my man Sergio DaCosta. He's from Costa del Sol Insurance. He's going to be talking about a bunch of different cool topics here today. How event insurance can help you guys out, a bunch of different things. Really, what kind of inspired this is honestly the recent coronavirus scare. You know, people are kind of freaking out, and they're buying every face mask and ounce of hand sanitizer in the world. But, you know, what does that mean for you as a bride who's having a wedding? You know, maybe your wedding's in Midtown Manhattan. Maybe you're having family travel over from abroad. So, you know, what does the coronavirus mean for your event? What can happen if you have to cancel your event? And what are some of the things that you can do to kind of safeguard yourself, you know? So,
yeah, so basically, Sergio right here, he is located at 650 Newark Avenue in Elizabeth. We're going to leave his contact information and everything right below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube /MysticalNJ or on Apple iTunes. You just follow our podcast or even download our app on the App Store, Mystical Entertainment Group, and it's right there for you. So basically I reached out to Sergio because I was personally concerned for business as a whole, right? So I'm thinking, wow, so if there's a month or 2 months of weddings postponed or canceled, not only does that affect our bottom line and everything for year 2020, but it's also going to affect future sales, right, for 2021. So, you know, from a business owner standpoint, you're sitting there like, wow, okay, so you have your salaries and you have all the underlying costs of running a business. And so I reached out to Sergio, and he's got some great information. I mean, it's a family-owned business. I mean, he's been doing this how long?
Personally, going on 16 years now. My mom, since 1986, she opened up the agency. So, 30 years of insurance in my house. So we've covered a lot of different topics with insurance and a lot of different crazy stories. I'd be happy to share some of them, if they touch on the topics that we're going over.
Also, real quick, just to jump in real quick, obviously this is, a podcast kind of directed at brides, but any fellow DJs out there, photographers, anybody who owns a business, period, in the wedding industry, event industry, listen up, because we're going to give you some solid golden nuggets for you guys as well. This isn't just for the brides out there. This is for the wedding photographer that may not have thought, hey man, what happens if I have 5 wedding cancellations over the next couple months, due to this entire scare, in my opinion, but so listen up.
All right. So, I guess, Mike, you want to give us some of the facts?
So, obviously you guys have been watching the news, and, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 months ago, this kind of thing all started coming out of Wuhan, China, where, a new virus and all this kind of stuff. So everybody's been freaking out. Have people died from the coronavirus? Absolutely. Is the coronavirus something you should concern yourself and try to protect yourself against? Absolutely. Do you need to buy every hand sanitizing product in Costco? No. So here's just a couple of quick facts that I found, kind of scouring the internet based on the news and all this kind of stuff. So there are currently 82,000 infections worldwide of the coronavirus, COVID-19 or COVID-19. COVID. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, sorry. Of which 77,000 are in China. So if you're freaking out about the coronavirus, just, don't go to Wuhan, China. You might have a better chance. So that means, this is going to reduce your exposure by about 94% if you just don't go to Wuhan, China. So that's step number 1, There's a ton of infections around the world, but the majority of them are concentrated around China. Number 2, 81% of all known cases are classified as mild, which means it's just a really bad cough, Of those 81% of cases, out of all those cases, 81% are known as mild, 14% are known as moderate. So 14% of those cases, people should have a little bit extra concern. And then 5% of those cases are critical, meaning respiratory failure. You need to be in a hospital for an extended amount of time. And of those critical cases, less than 1% are considered deadly.
But typically, out of all those cases, the ones that are all considered critical, you have to have underlying conditions already. So
you have asthma and
heart disease,
diabetes, COPD. Yeah.
Right. So obviously, for any children or the elderly, there's a concern. But the death rate for people under 50 years old is less than 1%.
Less than 1%. Yeah. The biggest category of people that have actually passed away from the coronavirus is people that are 75 and older. with pre-existing conditions. So, again, not saying you shouldn't be concerned. Hey, listen, take precaution. You should take precautions against the common cold. Forget the coronavirus. But I think it's a little bit more of a widespread panic more than anything else. So just giving you some hard facts here. Be concerned. Wash your hands. Duh. But, relax.
Yeah. So I guess let's get into the myths, right? I don't know if you've seen on like Facebook or Instagram all these people freaking out and they're going to Costco and they're just hoarding everything. They're getting bottles of water and masks and literally every single thing possible. And it's like mass hysteria. But I mean, the first myth is that like you see all these people. Like I was recently in Vegas about a month ago for a trade show, and there's people traveling with those masks and everything. So I looked into it, and they said it's actually worse. So on average, I think the human touches their face about 80 times a day. So when you have that mask on, right, like you're adjusting it because it's so uncomfortable on your nose. But what are you touching? You're touching your eye glands. So if you're touching it, and you touch your eye glands, guess what? That mask did nothing.
Yep.
So increased your chances of coronavirus.
And at the end of the day, though, face masks, they're not going to keep you from contracting the coronavirus. They're not. There's a small select type of mask that will, but even so, it's not going to keep you from getting it. The people that should be wearing masks are people that show symptoms. If you're coughing, if you're sneezing, if you're sick, the main use of these surgical masks is to keep people who are already sick from spreading it to other people. It's not going to keep you from getting the coronavirus. You look stupid.
So yeah, another myth is you can't open any packages from China.
Although the Simpsons want to make you believe that you could get that. I don't know if you've seen that episode. You know how the Simpsons predict everything. Yeah, it was a thing called the Tokyo virus.
Wait.
Yeah, no, I'm being serious. Yeah,
it happened like
10 years ago. Yeah.
Why does that always happen?
It always. So Homer orders something from China. Okay, and the worker who is making his order coughs into the bag. He then gets the package in, opens the bag, and gets this Tokyo virus that he then spreads to the rest of his family, and it creates like a pandemic around Springfield. Yeah, that's a cartoon. It's fictitious. It's not going to happen.
But they do seem to be spot on with so many different predictions. It's ridiculous.
My gosh. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, the show's been running for 40 years, so I guess you're bound to
probability
hit the nail on the head a couple times when you put out enough content.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, I mean, antibiotics is another myth, right? You don't have to load up on what I don't even know.
Whatever.
Antibiotic, whatever.
So people kind of think, oh my God, if there's something going out, let me just crank up on antibiotics. And antibiotics only kill bacteria. They don't kill viruses. So again, you're not really doing anything. And back to the whole ordering stuff from China and all that kind of stuff. Scientists have done a ton of studies on COVID-19, and they found that the virus doesn't last maybe more than a week on surfaces and foreign objects. So if you order something from China, it arrives 3 weeks after you ordered it. Even if it had some kind of contact with anybody with the COVID, it's not going to be on it. You're not going to contract it from ordering your stuff on Wish or Amazon or whatever. Food might be a different story because you're actually putting it in your body.
You want to hear a funny story?
Yeah.
Recently, this week, I ordered dog food on Amazon for my dog, obviously, and they sent the wrong package. I went to open it, and I'm like, what the hell? It's like Chinese letters. It was soy sauce, Kikkoman, right? But it was like a big bottle. I'm like, how the hell? So I'm like, whatever. I went to bed. I got home late from work. It was like 11:30. Next morning, I'm part of like our family group chat, and my wife texts the group chat like, "Oh my God, we're all gonna die! Look at this package in
John's
here.
Quarantined.
Like, look at John's trying to be healthy. He's ordering this." I'm like, "No, I ordered dog food." And they
She locked you in the room.
It's like it reminds me from like back in the day when he like did like the anthrax mailings and everything, and the government had to like take your mail and check it and all that stuff. I'm like, babe, it's not. Yeah, it's not gonna sit there.
And I hope we don't really have to reinforce this to anybody, but like you can still eat Chinese food. Like it's no, dude, it's literally online. I've seen competent adult humans that have kids, which is a little concerning, saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna stay away from Chinese restaurants for now." Like, what does that even mean? Like, what the hell does the matter with you?
I think Tito's Vodka put out a something saying like, "Please don't disinfect with Tito's Vodka."
Yeah.
It's I guess people are they read that alcohol kills COVID-19.
Yeah.
It's alcohol based. Antibacterial formulas, not Tito's vodka.
Yeah.
But people are at home like washing their hands with Tito's vodka. So don't waste your vodka. It's not doing anything.
Yeah, forget the wipes, man. Don't drink all my Tito's.
Yeah.
Another thing, Corona. Like people stopped drinking Corona. Their sales were like down tremendously, right? Yeah. It's like
30% or something like that.
It's like, dude, come on.
Stop it.
On.
Stop it. All right, so spraying chlorine or bleach on your skin or body to help fight the virus. Although, listen, bleach is awesome. You know, if you're worried about any kind of germs or anything, bleach your whole house. I get it. But don't start spraying bleach and stuff on yourself. It's actually an irritant. It can actually create more harm than good. It can be dangerous to your health, dangerous to your body, and it's not going to actually kill anything within your body.
If you could drink it, though, it would.
It would, but you can't. Your body can't digest it, so don't drink. Disclaimer, do not drink bleach. You will die. Thanks, guys. You can send all lawsuits to 756 Bloomfield Ave.
Yeah, probably read the warning discretions on any products you're using.
So how do we prevent it?
It's pretty simple. And here's another funny thing that people are posting, like, guys, you don't need a worldwide pandemic to wash your hands. So the World Health Organization, these are their common steps. Regularly wash your hands all the way up to the wrist, This is key. For at least 20 seconds. Use hand sanitizer as often as you can. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, mouth. These are the prime receptors for the virus. So, don't scratch your eyes as often as you'd like. Use a towel. Use something else.
You guys are probably doing it right now. As he's saying it, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I definitely scratched my eyes like twice on camera already.
I wear contacts. I wear glasses, so my hands are constantly near my face. Try to sanitize, commonly touched areas, your cell phone, remotes, doorknobs, door handles, that kind of stuff. That's a given. Sneeze and cough into your elbows. I mean, that's pretty much what is that called? Like common knowledge. Like, don't go just blasting off sneezing into the air.
Yeah.
Sneeze into your elbows like your mother always taught you. One thing they did bring up is social distancing, which I like how they put little buzzwords on stuff. It's called social distancing now, which means stay at least 3 feet from anybody who might be infected, who's sneezing or coughing. Keep people at arm's length.
Actually, I read an article on CNBC where people aren't shaking hands anymore.
They're doing the bows now.
Or the foot
the
foot thing. Which is so yeah.
I saw they showed a video of the vice president coming off a plane. And he was literally pounding bows with everyone off the bottom of the ramp. It was hysterical.
And this is the best piece of advice from the World Health Organization.
Ludacris is making a lot of money right
now. Throw them bows.
Throw them bows again.
This is the best piece of advice from the World Health Organization. Thousands of hours of research went into this. If you feel sick or show symptoms, stay home. Stay home. Yeah. Stay home.
Yeah.
Don't go out in public. Don't touch other people. You're not that cool. Stay home.
Yeah. So, back to how this all circles back and ties into the event thing. I don't know if anybody's on Google and seeing all this stuff, but we're obviously music heads here, even Sergio included. I mean, we did your wedding how many years ago now?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Yeah. So I've known Sergio from, I used to own a nightclub in Elizabeth called Flight. And this is how many years? 15 years ago?
Yeah, but it might be a little more than that.
Yeah.
It might be, about 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, man. So we had a lot of good times. Yeah. But it was always about the music, right?
Absolutely,
so, yeah. It's just, I think you had Marilla there once, right? You had some beasts and Boris and some big time DJs.
Yeah.
We had a lot of good times there, So looking at that and seeing all of the shows that are actually getting canceled right now, could you imagine Ultra Music Festival?
Cancel.
Yeah.
Not happening.
That's crazy. But they're losing a lot of money, obviously, right? Yeah. But just to save face and save people, you're talking about even companies canceling trade shows.
Yeah.
And Zoom meetings are just huge right now. That's it. People are just doing all this stuff, and it's just what the heck is going to go on in the wedding industry?
My wife works for a major corporation, and she had 3 business trips planned this month. All canceled.
There was actually a petition that was signed by more than 41,000 people to cancel South by Southwest, which is one of the biggest music festivals in the country, in the world, honestly. And people are actually actively signing a petition saying we're not going to go. Probably should just cancel it.
Tomorrowland.
That's another huge music festival. Canceled.
Crazy.
TED Talks in Vancouver. If anybody watches TED Talks, there's a variety of different topics. It's something super popular, especially on YouTube and all that stuff. The Vancouver TED Talks have been canceled. So this is getting crazy. So how does this really kind of tie back to your 200-person wedding, in northern New Jersey? What happens if, God forbid, a bride, a groom, somebody in the immediate family contracts, COVID-19, the coronavirus? What if the venue closes? There's a lot of things that are going on. There's events that are closing. We know DJs in the industry that have had corporate events cancel, postpone.
In our Facebook groups, it's starting to become more of a discussion, obviously, so because it's so prevalent in the world right now. But again, like what would you suggest for people, even businesses or individuals, to protect themselves?
Well, I mean, one can only go back so far, and when you're doing something like this, it's it's new territory to a lot of businesses, people that are hosting events. You see like the airlines taking charge, and they're allowing for free cancellations or changes to their people's trips. And not everyone's as nice as the airlines. Not everyone's going to do that. I've gone back and forth with some underwriters at some big insurance companies. I mean, they're currently still holding meetings, and they're kind of laying the foundation of how they're going to handle these cases moving forward, because there's really been nothing like this. So, when you look into the details of an insurance policy, there's a lot of fine print. There's things you have to take into account and take a look at. So, one of the big ones is injury, death, sudden illness, things like that. They apply to the insurance policy holder as well as immediate family. So bride or groom, brother, sister, mother, father, grandma, grandpa. Someone contracts COVID-19, that is a just reason for you to be able to go ahead and postpone or cancel your wedding and move it out. If you have the proper insurance in place, so it's something that you can do.
So as a bride, what kind of policy should I be looking for? Like, is this a 1-day policy? Is this a health insurance policy? Like, what policy should I be asking my insurance agent or you directly? Hey, listen, I'm worried about something might happen. So what's the policy that I look for? What do I ask for? That kind of stuff. As somebody who knows nothing about this.
Right. Well, a special event policy is going to cover them in these cases. So if they go ahead and get a wedding event policy, obviously there's all sorts of bells and whistles that can be added to each policy. So you get like a base or standard policy. Ask your agent. If you happen to call me, I'll go into those details with you. But there's all sorts of things you can add on, inclusions, increased coverages. So
what are some of the typical inclusions that people would add into something like this? Like what's a standard outside of the base? What's one of the more popular things that people would want to add on, like a rider or something like that?
Sure. I mean, aside from just the covering the virus, but something like liquor liability. A lot of people don't know that if someone gets intoxicated at your event and they leave and get into a horrific accident or something like that, the host of the party and the venue itself can be held accountable.
Wow.
So I'm sure that venue has a nice policy that's covering them, but do you as the host? That applies if you have a party, if you rent a, like a farm. A lot
barn,
of that's
that
happening
kind of stuff.
lately.
Yeah,
People are doing events,
bringing in their own
outdoors.
catering, their own bartenders, their own everything.
Right. Grandma's got a huge backyard. Let's do it there. You definitely want to get a policy, because grandma's policy is not going to cover your liquor liability if something like that happens. It's not going to cover if a fighter or something breaks out and assault and battery, someone gets hurt, something like that. So there's a lot of different stuff that a lot of different pros that come included with this policy.
That's a golden nugget right there. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had zero clue. Like, I figured something like that happened. It's the venue. They're the ones serving the booze.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that me as a bride or a groom can be liable.
Yeah,
wow.
As a host, you can be listed on that lawsuit. So
that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. That right there is enough for me to get a 1-day policy or whatever the case.
I mean, these things only cost a couple $100. You're not dropping an arm and a leg, and
in
after
the grand scheme of
things, the investments that people are making these days in their wedding.
Yeah.
What's now at this point $200 or $300 more, and just to make sure that you're gonna have a good time, and you're not gonna have to worry about if something happens.
That's less than your bouquet. That's less less than your tuxedo. That's less than your limo.
Right.
And something that can really, in the long run, protect you.
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea. So what does something cost as far as like, if the venue closed down because of coronavirus fears or something like that?
Yeah.
How would that affect their coverage, and is it covered? And
so different things apply. Again, we have to get into the fine print. A lot of this is new territory. When it comes to a person wanting to not have an event for fear of coronavirus, like, hey, we heard that cousin Jimmy might have coronavirus and he's going to be at the wedding, we're going to cancel that. Like, that's not going to happen. But if one of the immediate family of the bride or groom or the bride and groom have contracted it, then there's coverage for something like
mom, dad, brother, sister,
Right.
son.
Even if they're, are they necessarily, do they have to be in the same household? Does that matter?
It's immediate family, so
And
that's
uncle
what
count?
it's-
Grandparents?
You have to check with the. I know in the explanation of immediate family, they're talking about brother, sister, mom, dad.
Okay.
So we'd have to see. I think aunt and uncle are also immediate family, but we'd have to check the fine print on that.
Okay. So if the owner of the venue contracted it and there was fears of their entire staff, chefs and maitre d's and all that stuff, would a policy like this cover them as well?
Yeah, so you do have coverage for an incident that happens with your venue. The insurance company will pay for things like a new venue, picking up and moving it. If some of your vendors can no longer work, they will reimburse the deposits that were given so that you can use that money towards, the new vendors.
Because that's a huge point right there. Let's say, God forbid, and I know we're really being heavy on the coronavirus and the COVID-19 and all this kind of stuff, but this applies to a myriad of things.
Yeah, listen, I had a finals meeting yesterday with a couple that's getting married at the Valley Regency in a couple weeks, and she's like, "Could you friggin' imagine? Like, I'm gonna have to cancel my wedding because of this stupid coronavirus." And I'm like,
No, you're not.
"No,
Yeah,
I don't think so." But there is a possibility.
Right.
But think of Hurricane Sandy. When Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey, any of our viewers and listeners that are from the tri-state area, you guys remember Hurricane Sandy impacted a lot of things. Venues were without power. Venues sustained physical damage. Trees went down. What if a tree crashes down the middle of your ballroom the night before your wedding?
I actually went to a wedding right after Hurricane Sandy. It was my wife's cousin, and they ran the whole venue on generators. It was very impressive.
Yeah.
But that venue was the only spot on the whole block with
that had power.
And it was impressive. So
again,
again, to prepare for something like that.
Just to expand on this, again, I know we're really coronavirus heavy here, but this can be applied to a million different things. Single day insurance policies, event insurance policies are, number one, something that not a lot of people know about. Not a lot of people know that you can even do these things. Number two, they're relatively inexpensive, when compared to everything else. And what if somebody makes a wrong turn and drives their car through the middle of your ballroom?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen? What do you do?
I'll give you a prime example. So I was doing, actually you were there, Mike. We were doing a wedding at One Atlantic City.
Oh man.
This was the first, it was actually Memorial Day weekend. So it was like the first big weekend in Atlantic City after Hurricane Sandy. And obviously everybody's infrastructure was kind of just like, everything was messed up down there. Right. So this couple, they had a massive wedding. At One Atlantic, you spare no expense there.
No.
It's super expensive.
You can't.
And the most bizarre thing out of it all was the groom actually traded energy on Wall Street.
Yeah.
All right. So we do introductions. They finish the first dances, the parent dances, finish the toasts, and then everything turns off.
Power. Hold on, real quick. Not just the ballroom, the entire Caesars Pier at Atlantic City, the mall, restaurants, you name it. Not just One Atlantic, not just the venue. The entire pier blacked out, gone, no power.
Yeah.
Somebody just forgot to put gas in that generator. What happened?
Yeah. So the venue didn't have a backup generator.
Okay.
Right. So it's not even a thought like back then. You know what I mean? And then it's like guests were actually thinking that this was like part of the ploy. This is like they're up to something.
No,
this is gonna be crazy. And I'm like, no, I swear,
Neo's gonna pop out.
yeah. I'm like,
tonight.
And here I am on the boardwalk, like talking to every police officer and fireman. I'm like, dude, is there because it's not in our area?
John, it's cool. You can keep it real. John Macaluso was out there with cash in his hand. Okay,
I kept
he's
it really
like,
Italian.
he's like, yeah, guys, you got no, I'm not kidding. But no, he was out there, and this is it's admirable. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people would have been like, dude, the power's off. What do you want me to do? This man's out there walking up and down the boardwalk, offering people cash for generators.
Yeah, I had $1,000 cash in my hand because it was an AC. So I'm like, all right, after this wedding, we're gonna go play. We're gonna go hard. So nobody had it. I'm like, how's this possible?
Yeah.
After
Those were hard to come by.
Right? I'm like, it's
then.
after Sandy. Somebody's got to have it. I'm like, I don't even want to buy it. I just want to rent it. You know what I mean? To be the hero of the day. So long story short, I think the wedding must have cost them like $500,000
Easily.
And aside from our battery powered uplighting, which was like the only lighting in the ballroom, that was it. That was it. They ate their dinner, and then
The
they
power.
they had to call the shot.
Never came back.
It never came back on.
Never came
And they
back
went to the nightclub.
Dusk.
Yeah, like was it in Caesars or something like that?
Yeah,
Right?
it was a
Was
nightclub in
on the
Caesars.
pier, but the pier was out, and that's what they had to
The
do.
nightclub was also in silence. Like what happened?
No, the
here?
nightclub was good, but the whole pier was out.
It was just the
okay.
pier that was
Okay.
out. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
But the moral of the story is that they just didn't have insurance on it, and it's something that who would think of that? I mean, did you have it?
No, at
You
the
know?
time, it wasn't a thought. I mean, maybe I was a little bit younger and didn't think about these types of things. Being married and fatherhood and everything now,
Yeah, and
you
you
start to
you
think about
see it
these
all.
types of things. Like, what could go wrong?
a lot.
I did. I'll touch base real quickly on because we're just going over different things, kicking it back and forth, and I'll just go over some of the things that are covered. This is cancellation or postponement of the following things would be covered: your catering venue, perishable goods, so your wedding cake, things like maybe you ordered some special pastries from Italy, some venue is making them for you, whatever the case may be, those are covered. Your entertainment, so these guys right here, they're covered.
So are we covered in full? Just deposits?
So it depends on
the
where
contract?
you're at. It depends on where you're at when the situation happens. So if places are doing final payment, let's just call it final payment, a month before the event or 2 weeks before the event. I guess it matters where this takes place. But let's just say you're at a stage where only deposits have been given. So yeah, you're getting all these deposits back. Flowers, food.
So here's a question. I'm sorry to intervene here, but let's just say that our contract states that we have to be paid in full within 90 days, or like we're guaranteed at 90 days prior to the event. How does that? Is it contract based, or is it like is it the money that's already paid?
Yeah, it does say amount paid required by written contract. So so if you as the bride or groom are on the hook based on your contract, then yes, you have an out. The insurance policy is gonna get you out of that contract. They're gonna pay what you owed. And then after that, it's between the vendor or the venue and the host to work something out. Obviously, moving forward, but whatever you're contractually obligated to do, you're going to be covered. Just to finish off running that list, the photographer, any furniture you might rent, special furniture for that day. Some people like to get these big throne chairs now, all sorts of stuff. That's covered. Special attire, so your wedding dress, tuxes, all that kind of stuff, that's in there. Transportation, you rent that limo, whatever else, you're good to go.
And also not necessarily just cancellations and all that kind of stuff, but postponement's huge too.
Postponements, yeah.
Let's say something happens to your venue, you need to reschedule to a later date. There's no guarantees that your other vendor is going to be available.
Right. We just
Your
brought
DJ,
up
your
Hurricane.
photo.
We just brought up Hurricane Sandy, and it's like a perfect example where it comes out of nowhere, and 3 days before your wedding, you find out it's not happening.
Yeah. And even as a DJ or an entertainer or a photographer, you want to do the best for your clients. You want to help them out as best as you can. But at the end of the day, I can't service that new date.
Right.
What do we do? That's where these policies are really, really big, and aiding these things that you never know. Hopefully, never happen to anybody. But
Right.
You never know.
Hope for the best, but you do have to prepare for the worst.
Plan for the worst.
Yeah. So, I've been getting a lot of calls about it, and it's the hot topic, like you're saying. People have questions, they want answers. Unfortunately, there's not always an answer for every specific thing that's happening out there. But for the most part, we do have some understanding in the simple text that's in a policy. So, if you get sick, you're hospitalized, mom, dad, brother, sister, we went over all of it.
Yeah.
You're good to go. You're covered there. And it just came to mind, actually. I was just thinking about it because, you said special event. And what happens when a wedding gets canceled? Your honeymoon's probably going to get canceled too. I'm assuming you're not still taking that, trip if the wedding doesn't happen. So we're kind of, you might want to look into, trip insurance, vacation insurance that'll take care of some stuff like that. Because even though some of the airlines are,
Insurance on insurance on insurance.
Yeah.
it's
Shoe insurance.
It's an insurance inception, but it's. I feel like that's something that you might want to think about if you're trying to cover yourself on all bases. You're not going to take that expensive $20,000-$30,000 honeymoon now. So again, a couple $100. Make sure that you know, you get fully refunded in a case like that. If someone gets sick or ill and you need to cancel, they're going to reimburse you everything on that. And let's face it, even though some of the airlines are letting you make some changes, a lot of hotels might be like, no, sorry, you know, you're on the hook, you already paid. So you know, just do the right thing. Just get a travel policy, and what happens if you're in Italy and you get sick while you're there and you need to be hospitalized or quarantined? I mean, I'm sure that's happening right now. There's someone in Milan who's in a hospital somewhere on there that they were on their honeymoon, and they're like, holy crap, you know, is my health insurance going to cover this medical bill?
Probably not.
Probably not. They usually don't leave the
state that you're in.
The state that you're in. So
so that's another form of insurance?
That's another form of insurance. It's actually covered if you get travel protection. Most have it included there where your medical bills are covered. Let's just say, you know, your wife gets sick and she's in the hospital, but you're not sick. But you're not going to leave her, right? You're not just going to fly back home. So now you gotta,
later, babe.
Yeah. So you got to post up in a hotel now. You got to do things like that. Hey, this is going to be covered under trip insurance. So
just to clarify, it's not covered in the event insurance because that's not part of the event, right?
Right. Event insurance is
additional insurance.
Yeah. Event insurance is usually limited to a day or two that the event is going to happen on. For that particular event.
We're talking about your health insurance now. Your actual health insurance, yeah.
So even circling back, what is it typically, how does it work in terms of like pricing out an insurance policy for an event? Is it based on the total gross expenditures? Like how does that work?
Yeah, it's a couple of factors that go into it. Number of attendees, that's the big one. So usually the bigger the event, the more it'll cost. That has to do with the liability aspect of it, like we mentioned before, where if someone you know, gets hurt as your number increases of how many attendees you're going to have.
Liability.
So does liability, right? I mean, now instead of having you know, maybe one wacko out of 10 that's going to start a fight at your wedding, now you have 400 people. Hey, you might have 4 or 5 wackos over there that are going to start a fight. So things like that are taken into consideration. And then after that, just things that you add on. We mentioned liquor liability was one of them. A couple other things that you can add on to kind of increase the coverage limit that you have. So
if you have 100 guests and you're spending the average, what's the average in Jersey right now? 63?
65 grand, somewhere in that ballpark.
All right, so 63 you figure on 100-person wedding, 100 guest wedding.
That's
everything all right, it's like 45, maybe 50.
By the way, the average that we're talking about, for those of you who don't know, is the average total cost of a wedding in New Jersey. So
okay, yeah. So how is it based on that, and they take a percentage? Like, is it like $100 cost on that? Like,
so they're not asking you what you spent on your wedding. They're asking you how many attendees there are. They're asking you a couple of different questions as far as are you going to have live music at your event? Are you just having a DJ? Things like that. So if
it's us, it's going to be more expensive because they're raging more.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There is like a sub clause endorsement for Mystical Entertainment. Yeah. If you get them, you got to pay a little bit more, but it's because your party's gonna rock.
Yeah. Well, real quick, you said band versus like live music versus DJ. Yeah. What so there's a, you know, what's the difference? Why is there a difference? Is that because there's more people in the band, or like is it gonna be more expensive?
Smash guitars.
I didn't make the rating system.
Right.
I don't know why. I'm assuming maybe it has to probably do with the cancellations and stuff like that. Maybe the amount that they have to refund. I honestly don't know.
Bands are more expensive. There's more people in a band, more equipment maybe.
Yeah, I just know that live music ups the price a couple bucks. I mean,
that's why. Book a DJ.
Yeah. So what's the range, would you say?
I've seen policies start in the mid to low 2s, and I've seen them go up to like 700-800. I mean, it really depends on how many bells and whistles we're adding on here. Okay. But
so if you're at Cipriani in New York City, you're going to look at $700-800. But
yeah, if you want to look at the average, where you're probably in the $300 to $400 range. That's an average policy.
And listen, that's like 0.5% of the average wedding.
Yeah. Like we said before, that's cheaper than your bouquet, cheaper than your tuxedo rentals, cheaper than your limousine. You know, so why would you skimp on that expensive?
Right. If you just bought a BMW, do you want to drive it off the lot with no insurance? I mean, no. It's essentially your investment. You're investing that much money into an event, and now you're taking it out on the road with no coverage at all, and just hoping that everything runs smoothly. And knock on wood, we always hope that everything runs smoothly, but that's not the world we live in. Yeah. Things happen every day.
So I guess we would recommend first things first. I mean, every client or every couple should look at their vendors' not insurance policies. I'm sorry, their contracts.
Right.
Read that over to see what their cancellation policies are and money's due and when is it guaranteed and all that stuff, so they can, I guess, see what type of coverage. Could they add coverage just in case? Is it like an option where like let's say with life insurance you want to get $1 million instead of a $500,000? Is that a thing?
So yeah, so there's different coverages. So you start at like $500,000 of liability insurance, and you keep increasing. You can go up as $2, $3, $4 million. So again, it's like any other type of insurance out there where you can keep adding on to it.
Okay, so you can upgrade it.
Yeah, you can upgrade, and it just depends on how secure you really want to feel.
Sweet. So we have travel protection, we have wedding event protection. Now, conversely, what about for protection for the vendors? Is there anything, should we as a whole push all of our clients to get wedding insurance because of something like this? How does it work? How do we protect ourselves?
I mean, definitely pushing it is a way to protect yourselves, at least as far as deposits are concerned.
So on the flip side of the coin, as a business owner, how do you recommend that we protect ourselves? I mean, do we have to have the couples get an insurance policy? Like what do we have to do?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely suggest doing that. There's too much gray area, too much stuff going on in business owners' policies and whatnot. So best way right now, it insists that the couple get a event insurance policy. You'll be covered for deposits or any money owed to you contractually. Couple will get off the hook because insurance company will pay for it. And another thing you can do if the couple insists that they don't want to get an insurance policy is probably work it into your contract or get some sort of a clause or something that states
the Corona clause.
Yeah, Corona clause that states, hey, we're deciding that we don't have insurance and we're still gonna pay you if something goes down.
Okay. All right. Cool. I guess that'll wrap things up today, right? That was
awesome.
Freaking awesome. I think it really helps, like, not only the couples, but it also helps business owners, photographers, venues, other DJs and entertainment companies, bands, all that stuff. So basically, I mean, thank you, first off, Sergio, for coming through.
Thank you guys for having me.
It was amazing.
Appreciate you. I'm going to give you the Corona bump.
Corona bump, house.
The foot.
The Corona bump. Yeah, so thanks for stopping in here, Sergio. Appreciate it. Again, we're going to post links to all of his contact information. Visit his website if you have any questions. I know this might be new to a lot of people, but these are some things you never thought of. Obviously, you don't want to be all doom and gloom, but you have to hope for the best and prepare for the worst.
Absolutely. You guys can visit my website, www.cdsiagency.com. We've got info on there for all sorts of different policies. If you're shopping for more than just event insurance, we have homeowners, auto, business, you name it, it's on there. So go on there, check it out. You can also, if you're driving, just jot down the number 908-352-3623. Don't drive and jot down the number.
You're gonna do it.
Take a mental note or play this back later on.
Or just use him for your insurance for your car too.
There you go.
There you go.
But
biggest thing, guys, wash your hands. Wash your hands. Please wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
Not with Tito's.
And no shots of Clorox. But in all seriousness, guys, we thank you for listening to our podcast. We're going to post a blog and have all of Sergio's contact information on there. You just head on over to our website, www.medjs.com. You'll see his information there. You'll also see this video there. And yeah, man, check back in, download our app, follow us on YouTube, subscribe, follow us on iTunes, and check it all out, man. We have a lot of good information, a lot of wedding information. So again, thank you, Sergio, for coming.
Awesome.
We'll see you guys at your next.
Hopefully, no one gets coronavirus, and hopefully, no events get canceled.
God forbid. We'll see you at the next wedding, guys.